Mike and Mine podcast. Wow. We've got a full house and a really exciting show today. We're going to be talking about on Mike and Mind. We're diving headfirst into the juicy, chaotic craziness that you can't look away from reality television. And there's one person who knows more about all of this than anyone. I'm going to introduce her in just a moment. I'm Hudson Hott, Scotty Blaisdell, Alan Wagner, our resident therapist, Penelope Lawson,
Hello.
reality junkie, director, writer, fitness like enthusiast, gym owner, like a dog owner that has a famous little dog. I mean, the list goes on. Penelope, hi.
Hello.
Nigella the
I know.
Brussels Griffon
She
on
is here.
Instagram, on
She's here.
covers of magazines too.
Yes, and she's a big fan of Love Island and 90 Day Fiancé.
Me
Really?
too.
She's
Me.
joining
She's
in.
a huge fan. She met Big Ed in person.
There's no way. You are lying to me right now.
We
Nope.
had a discussion about this, and Alan was saying meeting Big Ed would be bigger than meeting a lot of the best rock stars known worldwide.
It was quite an epic adventure. Who would have thought that all it took was driving to a sandwich shop in Plantation, Florida, and he makes like a very disgusting sandwich that has a bunch of he put gold flakes on it,
Oh
every
God.
kind of meat. I'm pretty sure the glove that he wore to make the sandwiches, he was shaking everybody's hand too. So you
No,
get like
no,
a real piece of Big Ed in there. And then he comes out if you get the Big Ed like special with candles all over it. So he walks to your table and he puts your sandwich down and he hangs out.
no, there's no way. He just hangs
Yeah.
out there.
He
Oh,
just was there. I think he was doing something for charity, and one of my friends saw it who's on a different TLC show. And so I was like, "Oh, we should all go." So we went, and then we cut the line a little because Big Ed apparently was a fan of the other TLC show. It's like a whole Inception world. And then next thing you know, he's making us sandwiches with dirty gloves and gold flakes.
okay. I am so jealous because I think out of everyone, for me, I got hooked on this 90 Day Fiancé show. Now, Scotty, you know me. I never have gotten. Scotty's been my radio partner for 20 years in Hawaii. And I never got into those reality shows. I watched maybe an occasional Real Housewives, but that just wasn't my bag at that time. And now, like this 90 Day Fiance thing, like I got into it so hard. I watched everything I could, like between the sheets, the last resort, like you go on and on.
Oh
And
yes.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And then I believe it was you, Penelope, who turned me on to Love Island. And then I was all in, and it was like, whoa, whoa. Scotty, what do you know about any of this?
Okay, we always try to be completely honest here. I don't watch these shows, but because we were going to have you on, Penelope, I decided I'm going to jump on and watch Love Island.
Oh no.
I got through maybe a quarter of an episode. I just couldn't take it was so cringe for me. I don't get okay, if The Bachelor is Match.com, Love Island seems like Tinder. Is that fair?
I mean, that's very fair. That's very fair. Listen, I mean, I'm just a sucker for anything that involves like a love triangle, a green card, or like a girl crying in a confessional. You know what I mean? So I used to be really, really embarrassed by my love of these shows. And now it's like, it's that car accident you can't look away from. Do you know what I mean? And
Well, hold on a second. You might have created a new reality show. Women crying in confessionals.
It could be a good Scotty, once again, you're giving away the good ideas on our
I know.
podcast.
You know, I
People
I
have
can I can jump in right now. So I've watched this Love Island. Hudson and I wanted to
this.
do a lot of preparation for this. So we basically binge watched
it's
the
serious.
entire
It is.
series of the new season of Love Island. And I didn't understand exactly what it was. But for anyone who's listening, so there's this like, regular reality shows that you see, and it's like you follow them once a week and whatever. This is like every day, like the Truman Show. So you're actually watching these people every day, except for one day a week, I think, is probably, I think they call it hump day or something. but it's like you're literally watching these people every day. And so
We
Is this
call it
like big,
hits
like
and
big?
bits because it's like the shitty day where they show like the unseen bits. It's so stupid. So that's the only day I don't watch, I will tell you.
Is it on? Oh, so that's tonight. Tonight, I don't have to watch that.
I think so. It's like, well, yeah, I think it's Wednesday, right? So nope,
It
nope,
is.
but it's
Okay, I
no
It,
got a
tits
free
and
it,
night,
bits
it's
Alan.
tonight.
so
but
it's kind of like Big Brother in a sense, in
no,
that they have cameras everywhere.
it's the weirdest. Maybe I've never seen Big Brother, but I'll just say that it's the craziest thing of TNA. Like you're watching it, these people are like strippers, men and women. So it's like no one can get in trouble because the men are basically naked and the women are basically naked, but they're like moving in slow motion to music and they're thumping around and it's like the
They have
sexiest.
Megan the Stallion.
Megan
Oh
the
yeah,
Stallion came on as a hot
Yeah.
girl coach. Yeah, she was hot girl
he was
coaching.
a coach teaching him to twerk.
Yeah,
Like,
Yes.
but the weirdest thing to me was that it was like there's this girl on it. I think her name is Huda, and if I'm pronouncing it right or not, I'm not sure.
Huda.
Yes, because she
Yeah.
said it was like shoulda, woulda, houlda.
Oh
Shoulda,
gosh. Okay,
woulda,
thank you.
That's
coulda.
what she
No,
said in her
she
own
So,
clip.
did.
so
I
you're
kept
watching.
correcting Alan last night because he keeps calling her Huda. I'm like, it's not Huda, it's Huda.
Well,
Woulda, shoulda, Huda.
well, you're watching this girl, and like America votes to break her up with this guy that she's with. And it was the strangest like premise of a thing because these people are in connections or whatever you want to call it, and then America votes somehow and separates them. And it was the craziest thing because it was the same day that they had sex. Like that day they get separated. And it
And
was
it's over.
it was the craziest thing I've seen on
It
TV.
is. Okay, well, as we're
Well,
jumping in, nice shirt,
well,
Alan, by the way.
Thank you.
hold on a second. Just to finish it up for those who aren't that familiar with the show, what is the goal? How do you win? Where's this? Where does
And
it
what do
go?
you win?
So you need to basically like couple up with another islander and I guess make it through all of these trials and tribulations. So if you've noticed, they did things a little unorthodox this time, but they sent them to Casa Amor a bit
Yes.
early. So in Casa Amor, if you're not familiar, Scotty, they break up the couples again and they put them with like the sexiest people. Although to be really fair, like the men are doing way better than the women. Like the women,
Yeah.
the guys are not great options, but I digress.
Yeah.
And they try to break them up. If they make it through all these several series of tests, eventually they'll pretend, even if they're not together, to be together just so they can try to win a lot of money. But it's fun to watch the ship sink as it goes down, you know?
Oh, and the drama. I mean, I was eyes glued watching Huda and Jeremiah. Like, we'll have to get into, the whole, like your favorites, like who the drama, which you live for, because I know you're obsessed, right?
Oh,
You
yes,
were out the other night and you had to race home so you could watch it.
I
Now, do you
did.
know if the show is live?
I feel like it's like close to that, but it's probably like a day behind or
A day
so.
behind. That's what we were thinking.
I'm embarrassed to admit I'm also watching the British Love Island at the same time, just to add another layer to things that you need to watch. And
Is it the
yeah,
same as the American, but they're really pale and have bad teeth?
so it's the same as the American one, but I used to say it was like less intense with the bump and grind, but I don't know. This season, they have an American girl on actually who just talked about how she had sex with an NFL player and another girl in public in front of like 100 people. And she lives in Vegas. So they've got their own
Oh my
little group
God.
of interesting people
I'm
going
gonna
on.
have to watch this one.
I used to like that one more because the expressions they would use, like, you're mugging off, or
Yeah.
like,
What
like
is
all the
mugging off?
Britishisms.
Well,
What is
it's
mugging off?
Like it's like when you playing around, like being a player, I think.
Okay.
Or
Mm.
like I guess that's where bombshell, that's why they always say, do you want to go have a chat? Like they ripped it all for the American version, right? So it's like
Right.
very similar, but the American one I think is better now.
Yeah, because I noticed that when I was looking for it, it's in every country. It's probably the number
Yeah.
one show in the world. There was like a Romanian version even, but in Britain, the British version I think had the most seasons of all. So it did start there, I'm assuming. But
Yeah.
the thing that's weird for me as a therapist watching this is the closeness of these people, because you see that the men become really close with each other because you're literally like it's like going to a sleepaway camp or something like that. Like you're spending 24/7 with these people every day for weeks at a time. I think they're in week 4 now. And so, like, even when the guys get voted off, you're watching the men, these men that you would never think would cry, just crying and bawling. And I even used the word with Hudson today that it's the first time I've used it in years, wail. Like when that voted that girl off, you could hear this poor like model guy from England or something like that. He picked a
I
different
was
girl.
heartbroken, by the
I
way. That
was
was
too. I
and
actually like
loved
my true
Charlie.
heartbreak of the
and
season. Like, not to be like spoiler alert, but like getting rid of him and then getting rid of Hannah later. Like, I just thought that was all super fucked and shows how duplicitous and two-faced and like gamey all these people are.
yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Alan, but
No. It's like Survivor. I mean, honestly, it feels like we're watching
Totally.
the strategies of the women talking of who they're going to get off next. So it's starting to turn into almost like Lord of the Flies a little bit.
yeah.
You can feel that in the beginning they were all friends, and then you can see the strategy starting to play out a little bit as it's moving along, and the bombshells keep coming.
Well,
But
look what they did to Jeremiah. I mean,
I
like all
know.
the guys were clearly so jealous of him from the get-go.
He was so hot.
Like Ace wanted to talk to Huda. Huda didn't give him the time of day. I think Huda is a whole other chapter,
Yeah.
but like Jeremiah was cool and all the girls liked him and the guys didn't like that. That's why they voted his ass off. You know what I mean? And same,
Yeah.
I think, for the other girl. Like they keep voting off all these people that actually have connections with other people because ultimately it's actually, and it kind of goes back to like Scotty being like, what do you win? It's like, I don't even know what you win because even the connections that are established, they kind of rip away from you in this like unreal. Like, have you ever seen that show Unreal with Sherry Appleby?
No.
No.
So it's basically it's written by one of the people who started The Bachelor. And it basically is a TV show, but from the other side about producers and how they basically bait and force all these people and force these storylines, which is
Yeah,
what
that's what I want
I
to
find.
talk about. What were you going to say, Scotty?
No, I was gonna ask because again, newbie here. So you said they vote people off from within the group, but you said America also has a say in things?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. America got a chance to vote and switch things around with who they thought, which I don't think that's who they thought. I think they just wanted to mess with everybody.
Create
And
drama.
true, yeah, create the drama. And there is so much drama. I mean, the swapping of once you're starting to get good with this one person and the chemistry is just starting, and then whoops, we're gonna go and we're gonna swap you out. Time to change
So
things up.
It was bad enough that Huda, like to get back into her for a second, if people are, you should definitely watch the show. That Huda actually
Huda's makes it all worth it, Scotty. Like I swear, even if you just turn it off after a few episodes, get in for the
get in for
Huda
the
Oh
story.
yeah.
Huda. Yeah,
Get you can't stop watching the Huda.
she got
I'm
take
upset
a look under the hood, if you
under
And
the
will.
that's why
hood.
I think
So,
she's still here, by the way, is because she's great television.
oh
Yes.
yeah.
Cannot stand her. That sounds horrible to say. God bless her, she's a mother, but I just uh, there's she's so irritating, but she is great TV. Like if they got rid of her, I don't know if as much of America would be watching. You know what I
no
mean?
No,
way.
Now,
it's so
you being an expert on these things, that's what I'm considering you, Penelope. Uh,
That's terrifying, by the way. I do produce, I do want to
reality.
clarify, but not
Right.
this
That's why
kind of
he's saying that. He's
television.
not saying it just because you love reality. You've also produced television shows. So
Not
he's
okay.
reality. I need to make that very clear. I am a connoisseur and an observer of reality. I love it, but it takes a certain kind of producer, as you would see if you watch that show on Real, I think, to work in reality because it's a different type of moral clause that comes with it.
But
yeah.
Okay.
but
So
can I just
my question was, uh, do you think it's legit? I mean, you said she probably is there because she creates the most interest in drama. Do they really vote the real people off, or do they get rid of the people who aren't as interesting?
I think it's probably a combination of both. I mean, I'm sure America, we definitely, I vote, right? There's an app on the phone you can tap on in,
Hmm.
and I'll vote. And I definitely think that there is an element of that, but I'm sure the producers as well have like a big say because they know who they want to keep around, right? Because if you go to the Reddit threads, who are people talking about? Like, it's just like production 101, right? You want to keep on the people that keep people talking. Like, as much as we all are probably like, oh, Huda, don't do that, we also can't stop watching what she's doing.
right. No, and you're waiting.
as someone who's been on a couple of those reality shows, to your question, Scotty, yes, they're definitely steering the shows and the plot lines. They're setting up the scenes to make it go to the next level or create drama. And I 100% know that they do that. But the Huda situation is interesting. I don't know if America voted her or not, but they would do these facial expressions of her. And the whole plot of this is that all the people are supposed to be open to each other. So even if you're coupled up with another person, it's okay that someone pulls you aside and talks to you or kisses you or
Makes
plays
out with
tennis with
you.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part of the game.
It's
But
all
for whatever
normal.
reason,
It's normal life.
could have got her claws into this guy. And so anybody who talked to him, the facial expressions that she was showing of insecurity and anger and evil, America started to dislike her. And she's going to be a reality superstar. Like you can tell when you watch something like this, that she'll be on Reality All-Star, she'll be on one of those things like, you'll
She's
see
the
her
new
again.
Snooki.
Correct. You'll see her
She
again
is the new,
100%.
That's
But
it.
right?
He is the new Snooki.
but can I just say something? Like,
2025.
but look, for me as a human, when she was crying and she was saying, America hates me, I just stopped for a second there and I thought to myself, this is the Truman Show. This is horrifying. I can't even imagine having my life just being recorded every day and having an entire country or the world vote against me to break up my relationship because they thought I wasn't good enough for him. Like that to me was so shocking and my heart just broke because she was losing it and again, I have never seen anything like this before on television where America gets to just literally break up couples that have connections with each other. And then even, you're watching it at the end and it's like, I won't get into the last episode because I don't think anybody's caught up to that one yet. But
Right. Let's not. She hasn't watched it and I haven't finished it either. I got us, Penelope. No, but don't you have to imagine that after watching it, there were some parts of it that honestly I was like, this is evil. This is so evil what's going on. Like I legit was so heartbroken about Charlie and Hannah. Like I was just like, oh, like I can't believe that this just happened, right? And it's just like,
He was
okay.
really heartbroken too.
For those just listening to audio, the doggy
But
has entered the picture.
yes.
yeah, the cutest.
And,
Look up
and
Nigella
Nigella is not
Brussels
happy.
Griffon on Instagram. What's her? It's Nigella
Nigella the Griffon
on Instagram. Look
on
her up.
Instagram
She's
and
on
TikTok.
magazine covers. But what I'm wondering is, I wonder if we're not seeing is if they have a therapist because Alan, man, do they need you? I know you've been on many shows and you've turned down. Like I will never still get over this because at the time I wasn't into 90 Day Fiance and we were going somewhere, I think to Palm Springs, and he's like, baby, he's like, 90 Day Fiance has asked me to do their show. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Like, no. And then whatever. And then I wound up getting into it and I literally bawled that I didn't meet Big Ed and Jasmine and Gino. Okay. And so, but Alan, don't you think that these shows, like, honestly, are gonna mess with these people's heads because just all the emotions, even if it's a show and you're going into it knowing it's a show and there's money at the end, it doesn't matter. You're human. You have these emotions. And even if it's just a couple of kisses and there was something there, there's heartbreak. Go. What do you think? Thank you, Scotty.
Well, look, when you're looking at those shows and you're seeing, first of all, they don't want a therapist on this show. That's the last thing they want. They're trying to make this crazy. And so I can't imagine that they want to help people stabilize. I think the goal of the shuffling and everything they're doing is to create something really interesting. So I don't think I would be on this show ever. But no, I think it is interesting how, when they put people on these reality shows, there's a thing called the MMPI, if anyone knows what that is, and it's the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. And so I think it's about 500 questions, and you have to get a certain score to not be quote unquote crazy. And as long as you're above that number, barely, you can get on one of these reality shows. If you're too normal of a person, they're not going to put you on. They want someone who's normal-ish. And so I think for this particular show, that's exactly what they're going for. But no, to your point though, this thing here, it's heartbreaking to watch. It's gut-wrenching, but at the same time, it is like something you can't stop watching. And I think what I was going to say also was about the cameras, is that you'd think that somebody on this show would be performing. And I think you can see when they bring new people on that they are initially. But as someone who's been on these shows, when you're sitting there being filmed with sound people and camera people, the beginning you notice it. But after a few days of shooting, you don't. And you start to just behave normally, kind of like Survivor, probably. Where in the beginning, it's like, oh, shoot, the camera's on me, and you're talking specifically to try to make yourself look good. But after a while, the people who were on there for 4 weeks now, they don't even know those cameras exist anymore. And they're just acting normal. And it's pretty hysterical.
So Penelope, where do these people come from?
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. You know, all over the US of A, I suppose.
Yeah. On the big
Is
Ed
there
front,
like a is there a talent bank for this? Because even when they did the casting, let me just tell you, 90 Day Fiance, that casting was off the charts.
Yeah,
From
like
Big
I don't even know where they found those people. Although the casting has kind of gotten like a lot more like in 90 Day, the casting's gotten a lot more performative. Like look at the
yeah,
throuple, you know
mhm.
what I mean?
Oh
They're
God.
like
yeah,
they feel like not real people.
that
Like
doesn't feel real.
either they're not real people or they're the stupidest people in the entire world that are running like a visa scam. I don't know.
Can we
Um,
can we can we
We
break
have
that
to
down for
explain
one
that to
second?
Scotty.
Okay, the thruple thing. If anybody's listening and they've never heard the word thruple before, what that is that instead of having a dyad of two people in a couple, you think that a triad of people is a loving relationship. Like there's three people in the relationship, they're all partners with each other. It's not just about sex, but they're actually all a thruple together, not a couple. And so in this show, there's a couple that's married and they have a 10-year relationship with somebody from Mexico, a woman, and they both fall in
Which
love
they
with.
act is really far away, by the way. They act
Right.
like they
It's
live
just
in
like
San
across the border.
Diego and they
Right.
act like
2 hour
they're
drive.
driving to like a 95-hour, like trip and they'll never see their family again. Meanwhile, they're going 30 minutes.
Right.
Correct, correct,
It's
correct.
like literally right over the border where they
And,
are.
and so the only way that you can get someone from a foreign country to get a green card is that you have to divorce each other, and then one of them has to marry this person so that they can get their green card and come over. And so this couple has children, and so they're actually going to be a family of three adults. And I won't ruin it for anyone, so I'm not going to keep go further into that. But to your point, Scotty,
Scotty's
you
just
said
like, huh?
earlier, like it is true. You get so attached to these weird people, like the guy with the nails from North Carolina. Remember that on one of those 90 Day Fiancés? He had like women's nails.
Him.
The
Him.
Tim's on Hunt to Love.
Oh,
he's
is that
back on another
another
reality
show where
show?
you got Hunt to
Oh
Love?
yeah, and they just showed, oh my God, this is terrible. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. They just showed Rob having sex on it, not with
Yeah.
Sophie anymore, with the girl that Tim used to be with, Jennifer,
No
from
way.
another season. You're gonna have to
What?
watch that one too. I'm sorry, Scotty. I'm overwhelming you with all the reality
Scotty's making mental notations of all these shows that he's never
that
heard
he's
of in his
never
life.
gonna watch.
And I'm never going to watch exactly.
But if you're watching on YouTube, to what Scotty said, it's sort of like I know the way Hudson and I see this sometimes, and maybe you do too, Penelope, is that we're so enamored by these people, and there's probably really famous celebrities watching this show that for them, to see a Bella or a Big Ed or some of these characters, these people have huge social media. Remember we did that one about the B-list or D-list celebrities? These people's social media accounts are massive. It's not the money they're going for. It's will they
Yeah.
become social media? Because I know I've seen people in the Valley before and their social media accounts are blowing up. So it's a whole different income stream and a whole different thing. They have conventions, but these people are famous and they're actually probably more famous in some ways than a movie star or a TV star.
Oh, it's true. It's really true. And I'm wondering, maybe Penelope, do these people go into this really looking for love, or are they doing it for the fame, to be at the conventions, to blow up their socials? Like, do they?
I feel like some of them are genuine. Like some of them seem genuine. Like the Mina and Mark from this season, the guy
Yeah,
with the airplane, the
yeah,
seat. I feel like some of those couples really do seem genuine, but a lot of them now, I think as the seasons have gone on, it's
yeah,
definitely formative. You know what I mean? Does it mean I
right.
don't enjoy watching it? For sure. But like I remember even somebody telling me they worked with one of the guys on one of the seasons recently, and like him and the girl had broke up, but they were still together for the show or whatever. So
Yeah.
So when you're these people are on a show like what is it, Tropical Thongs or whatever it's Love Island. Um,
Thongs.
so do they get paid? Because if they have a job, how do they get that much time off? And do they just consider it, hey, a vacation? I'll take some time off and go do
It's
this
like
show.
six weeks too.
I
I
think
don't
it's
know
like what
how you.
Alan said. I think they're looking toward a bigger revenue stream. So I think they're probably going to be like, hey, listen, I make really good money working at like, in corporate at the car dealership, but I'm willing to make that sacrifice and I'm going to go and be on Love Island and hang out with 30 guys and hope that I win.
Yep.
And if not, I'll get a brand deal with Pretty Little Thing.
That's right. Or
Well,
Sarah V.
I
Sarah
Yeah.
V.
I was wondering too. No, well, you have to understand, Scotty, these people are like 23, 24, 25. So they're not leaving established like law professions and whatnot. They're like working at rental car dealerships. And so to
Well,
them,
one is a spray tan
yeah,
artist.
one is a spray
Spray
tan
tan
quote unquote
artist.
Which
artist.
one's a spray tan artist?
She's the newest one.
Oh.
I can't remember her name at this moment. Not, is it Iris?
No,
No,
not Vanna. Vanna.
Anna. That's it. Okay. Favorite. Scotty, there was a girl from Hawaii, and she was my favorite. Her
Oh, I
name was
liked
Bella.
her.
Mhm.
Bella.
She
Oh,
had the
she was
most
the
smoking body.
like the blonde one had moved from Oregon. I saw the intro of that show. That's the one I watched.
So
She
did you
was
see?
pretty.
She was pretty, but Bella was beautiful and very sweet, and just there was something genuine about her.
I mean that she wasn't willing to like make out with and
She
let
did.
every guy cop a feel
I
in the first
couldn't
three
do that.
minutes. But they thought she was
Dude,
boring. That's why they got rid of her. They're like, too tame. I mean, I
dude,
honestly, I wish they kept her because the dichotomy when shit started to go down with Huda and Jeremiah, I would
oh,
have loved to see Bella be like, holding her cross out, trying to keep everybody away from her. But it didn't get that far, sadly.
no, and that's the thing for me. Like for me, like I watched this in complete and utter shock. I envision like my group of girls, right? And we're all hanging out. Like imagine, even if we're single and there was like, a couple of guys and like me kissing them and then moving back so she could go in and then the next one, like the whole thing is just, and then doing it again and like just all of it. It's like that is so like out of my
Like the
wheelhouse.
challenges, the one that I think most psychologically damaged me this season, and you'll enjoy hearing about this, Scotty, is when they did the cow udders in their mouths, and then they had to spit the milk into one another's mouths to get it into a bucket.
Yes.
I don't really know what the point of that challenge was. And my husband was like really anti watching the show, and now he's like reminding me that it's on.
That's Alan. Alan was like, "Oh God, really? Okay, I'm gonna watch." I said, "Alan, we have to watch this because we're gonna have Penelope on, and she knows everything about all these shows. I need to be up to speed." So, boom, Alan
It's a
sat
great
down, and
like
I
day break
did
from like all the stress of life because then you go on and you watch it and you're like, whew, my drama is nothing compared to
Oh my God.
Jeremiah's today.
100%. I feel so good about my life.
It's
So
funny.
Penelope,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. So Penelope, you said you're married. Which show did you meet him on?
I met him at the boxing gym actually.
Oh, okay. So you didn't go on a show and
No,
win.
no, no shows. He's not really a reality guy, but I've kind of turned him into one. And I got a great pic of him with Big Ed, doing the boxing stance and stuff.
So
Um, See, I've got him as a 90 day and Love Island junkie.
Maybe with this new gym and all the reality in your background, just that's in your head. Maybe do a reality like love thing at the gym. I don't know. I got to think of something, but that could be so crazy good.
I would not be opposed. I would not be
I'm
opposed if it
telling you.
was half as interesting as 90 Day Fiancé.
but going back into what we were just talking about a second ago, and not to say that that wouldn't be a great idea about the gym, but that girl Bella that you guys were talking about, she was clearly, and I don't mean to be weird about this, but she was like probably the most beautiful girl on the show, and yet there was something so flat about her. And in what you said, Penelope, about why she got voted off the show, I said that to Hudson too, because she kept talking about how great she was, but I said she's so nice and there's no drama to her. And she's not one of those people who's gonna like really escalate and cause, good TV. And so I wasn't surprised to see her go, but it's really weird. It's not about how good looking you are. And that's what I said on the MMPI test. It's about how unpredictable you are. If we
Mhm.
take you and we put you into a different scenario, like they did, like switching them up with their partners after knowing each other for 4 weeks, like are you going to freak out? And if you freak out, that's going to be good TV. And I feel like that's the people that are still on this show are the people who are going to be entertaining. And so far, I mean, again, they're doing a great job. Like if you're not watching this and you're a man and you're thinking this is the craziest episode, like why are they talking about reality TV? Like you would say your husband even it got pulled into this too, just like me. I'm not a reality. I've been on reality TV shows, but I'm not a guy
Yeah.
who even watches the shows that I've been on.
I
And so
can't
I
even
don't
get him to watch his
yeah,
episodes.
I've
He's
never
like,
seen The
no.
Valley. I've never seen, but it's like this show to me, it feels like a psycho, like almost like when I first started watching Survivor, the psychology of it, and it is like Lord of the Flies, and the way that they keep like putting people in situations where you ask yourself as a viewer, what would I do? How would I handle that? And there's something very, very interesting from a human, like psychological perspective. And that I just think that anybody should watch this, male or female.
Okay, now do you think that which cast members would you say possibly are using manipulation to get more screen time? Because obviously Bella didn't use any manipulation at all. She got the boot, but there are certain ones who know that the more out there you think, like Huda, you think she knows that she'll get more screen time? Because I
Yeah.
mean, she gets a lot of screen time and
I
her
mean,
ass.
we at one point I was becoming the Huda show, right? But
Yeah,
I would say Huda definitely gets a lot of screen time. But yeah, I mean, my my favorite is probably Sierra, maybe.
Mm.
yeah,
I think she's cool. I see, I reacted differently to the situation where like she had sex with Nick, right? But
yeah,
then like, Nick was kind of a dick to her, but she handled it super well.
yeah,
And
she
I
did.
just feel like she didn't handle it like some abuse. Like she was cool about it. She didn't lash out, call him names. Like she didn't respond in the same way that Huda did, which to me makes me think that maybe they'll go further in the competition, even though I don't really care for Nick that much.
Yeah.
Mm,
Who's your
I think
favorite?
my favorite, maybe Iris too, because I think she seems super normal. But I don't like the guy she's with.
Nope,
I
neither
don't
do
believe
I.
he was kicked off. But do you guys remember when he turned to her and she said she was from Calabasas? And he goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, so you're rich."
Yeah.
I thought that was really fucking rude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did too. And then there was that other guy that he had asked the girl about traveling. Maybe Hannah, not what her name was, I can't remember her name right now. Vanna or something.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I'd like to go to Australia." Like, and she's like, "Oh, you've been obviously." He had like this weird douchey attitude, right,
Yeah, I
Ellen?
don't enjoy him, but I
I
think
don't
the
enjoy
biggest
him.
gamer is Ace and that Taylor guy because I don't think they like anybody, and I think that they're just playing it cool, coasting, and trying to be everybody's friend, but like also starting drama. Like they neither of them really seem to like anybody in there, I
My
think.
favorites are Sierra. My favorites were Sierra, Iris, Bella. Bella's gone.
Yeah.
Charlie, and who's the other one I like? There's another. Oh, I like or Leon,
Or Landria.
and
But
she's gone
she
now.
pissed me off because she fricking voted against the Hannah girl. So I was
I
like,
know.
eh. So, I'm
I
Scott,
over
feel
it.
I feel like I need Rosetta Stone for reality TV shows because I do not understand anything you guys are saying
I
right
need
now.
to make like a reality TV Bible or something, just to like have on the side.
like,
Well,
what does this
there
mean?
was a show called Yellowstone. I don't know if you ever watched that.
Yeah, of course.
And online they actually had the family tree of Yellowstone. So when you watch the different iterations of it, you could follow it. I think with these reality shows, if you come in a little bit late, you have no clue. How did that, who was, so you have to have this person was with this one and then went here and here,
You
and you
should
can kind of,
so do that, Penelope.
You know,
I was late to the party too. It's like I started with the probably the greatest season of reality TV ever, which was the Big Ed season, where he was with Rose and he goes and he showers with her father and sees the redhead and all that. And that is
Scott
if
is like, wait, what are you
if you
talking
ever
about?
watch anything ever on reality, that is the greatest. It's like a piece of art. It's perfection. So I understand why Big Ed has the followers he has. After that, I started popping all around to different ones. But I realized, to your point, that there is so many people, and I'm pretty well versed in the show, but even I am like, some of the people, I'm like, I don't know who that is, or I don't remember, you know?
Yeah,
Like
that's what they.
Soulja Boy, I forgot about him.
in entertainment, we've seen such a shift in the last few years. Would you guys agree? And there's such a value on what they would call like intellectual properties because it's such a risky thing to go into entertainment with something brand new these days. And so they just try to create these universes that started like with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then there was the Monster Universe at Universal. And so now you're seeing these universes grow. And they have the 90 Day Fiancé universe because there's so many spin-offs. It's not just the seasons and the different countries. It's they take those same actors, Scotty, and they put them into other shows and put like if they were popular on one, they'll pair them up in another one under the 90 Day Fiancé universe, like 90 Day Fiancé Presents. And it's the
Yes.
same thing with Love Island. Like when we looked at it, when we first heard about this from Penelope, I didn't, sorry, Penelope, to throw you on the bus on that
Thank
one.
you,
But thank
Penelope.
you. We're thanking you for that. But when we first heard about this, we're searching it up and we're just trying to figure out how do we watch this because we were started watching episode 3. I think it was on, I don't know what we were watching it on or season
Hulu, I
2
think when we
because
first
we had to
watched it.
get Peacock to watch it. But then once we
Yeah.
Oh,
got
we paid.
Peacock,
Now
we
we're paying.
realized,
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, because
We're
it only goes
paying
up to
for the
season.
subscription,
I
Scotty.
feel
That's
bad.
how hard we are.
Shout out to Stanley, my brother-in-law's friend, because I use his Peacock. So if he's wondering why Love Island is on it all the time, him and his wife, Stanley, thank you so much. But it would be really cool if you shelled out and maybe didn't give me those commercials.
It's just up and up. I can't. I'm crying.
Commercials. Those commercials for okay for Love Island, when you were asking about how do these people make money, and I've had clients who even were contemplating going on those shows because they were just trying to figure out if it would be financially advantageous to do in the future. Because like what you said, it's like they become influencers after if they're a star. But on this particular show, the commercials are intertwined. And they keep having these codes come up during the commercials you watch on Peacock, where you can go either download the Spotify playlist of all of the
Have
soundtrack.
you ever done any of those, by the way? Did they work?
Yes, we looked at the
Okay.
store, and everybody who's on that, Penelope, has their own store. All of the people, and you can buy
Yeah.
like this guy's shorts or this guy's, shirt.
Gold necklace. If you like his necklace or his ring, you can buy whatever outfit Elon is wearing or Jeremiah or, Austin.
Oh.
Do you like Austin? He's so sweet, isn't he?
I like him. Brian doesn't. Brian doesn't trust him. I just think he's
Really?
a cool dude that I'd be like friends with because, like, obviously he's a D-bag, but I also think he's kind of inflating his sex history to
Oh,
sound
I so
cooler.
is. The
Yeah.
moves, always picking the girls up and dry humping them. I mean,
I
he's from
always say
Hawaii, Scotty.
I always say to you, Hudson, that like it's like that guy Austin. He reminds me of Matthew McConaughey. Like he's exactly this kind of guy you'd be friends with. He's like sort of a little dudeish, surferish. Probably, like he could be in Dude, Where's My Car, like a Sean William Scott kind of guy. He's
Yeah,
Yeah,
like he's
very like
harmless.
yeah,
he
he's
is.
goofy, harmless. He's not like a sexual guy like some of those other people are. But there's something about like as a guy, you'd be friends with this person because he's probably really easygoing and fun, and he doesn't
Yeah.
seem as crazy as some of the other people.
Okay, all right. I still want to talk about 90 Day Fiance because that was the show. So Scotty, if there is maybe all the booty and the ass cheek and the swat spit, swapping, the spit swapping may not be for you, but 90 Day Fiance is a whole different vibe.
Well,
And
give
it
us for guys like me again, explain the concept. You have 90 days to fall in love. Is that
You have
yes.
90 days to get married once your lover gets to the United States and get the K-1 visa. So they basically show if they lose their shit in those 90 days or if they like expedite it, do it, and then they can chronicle like what happens after and leading up to the wedding.
Where should he start? I'm thinking Big Ed because that's
Big
where
Ed.
Yeah,
Big Ed
big
is
Ed.
the season, but I believe that's before the 90 days, which is
Yes.
it
kind of
is.
where you want to start anyway, because it's like, it's all the build up, the excitement.
I liked before the 90 days because they go to the foreign country. So you're
Yes.
watching them in
Yeah.
Colombia or you're watching them in where was Big Ed's person was
Alan,
in
talk,
She was in
you
the Philippines, right?
Philippines, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Rose was in the Philippines, who,
Remember?
by the way, Rose now is on OnlyFans, just so you know.
Oh
I'm sure you
God.
know
Well,
that.
she's lovely. She should be on OnlyFans. She's like a gorgeous lady. I'm like, you know what?
Do you remember the guy who was the trans he worked with all the transvestites in Las Vegas and then he was
Lauren, the gonorrhea man?
yes, and he was
Yes.
and he said he was really attracted to lady penis. So he wanted to find like a she-male in Asia.
A
So he
lady boy.
finds this
He wanted
lady
a lady
boy,
boy.
but he ends up while he's there picking up gonorrhea and a disease. And I
Yes.
remember this, I'll
He
never
picked up
forget
gonorrhea.
the scene where she's sitting or
Look at
they're sitting with
Scotty.
their friends talking about it, and they're like, he has the disease of the whore or something like that.
She says, you have the disease of the horse.
Disease of the whore.
Yes.
And it was like,
Scotty, you have to watch this. Out of
so?
all the shows.
You're saying gather the kids around,
yes. It's family friendly.
There was a lady on that same season who had a blind man fetish.
Yes.
She was following around. She took on her second blind lover because she liked them because they were easier to manipulate to do what she wanted because
Right.
she thought she came off as altruistic, but in fact, she literally had a fetish for blind people. And didn't she at one point of the second half of the season, didn't she like completely abandon him for her
Yes.
ex-boyfriend who was also blind?
I'm
Yes.
guessing he didn't see that coming.
Well,
Oh,
That was a good one.
he was religious. The blind guy was religious and
he
didn't
was
believe in premarital
religious.
sex or something. He went against his faith. So she flies all the way to Africa to meet this blind guy, only to find out that he doesn't believe in premarital sex.
No, and she was so pissed off
He
about
was
it.
so
Pissed
angry.
off. But let's not forget about the other one, Alan. The dude packing up, and Penelope, remember him packing the mosquito netting, the he brought
Oh, to Brazil?
to Brazil. I don't remember
Oh,
his name at
man.
this moment. And it was he went to the Philippines also. Didn't he go to the Philippines?
Yeah,
This
I'm trying
guy
to
was
remember
like,
which lady,
He
which
lived with his
lady he was
mother.
mhm.
He lived with his mom and he spent his entire life savings and he bought netting, mosquito stuff, like all these things. And he dragged it all the way from the US across like these weird tiny little boats, these little fishing
Mhm.
boats. She lived in a remote village and like the stuff that he brought to get to this thing. And then she didn't show up. Then she was sitting there waiting and waiting. And it's just insane.
The
All
one
of
that
it.
was funny to me, I think, was the Ukrainian ones
Oh my
because
God.
those people, like, they were finding them on these weird Ukrainian websites, and
Yeah.
women were talking to so many men, and so every time these men would go, like, the women would no show and they'd do it again, or they'd cancel last minute and they would do it again, and to watch these men continue to pursue these Ukrainian women who were so playing them for money, and they were even saying how much money they were sending them. It was like
Well, there was that one man who I feel bad. I think he died recently, but that he was the one that kept he went like 20 or 30 times. Do you
yeah,
remember to go and see that
Yeah.
one really
To the
hot girl?
same one, and he
yes.
believed.
I'm pretty sure production literally paid that the picture of the lady, like found her to come to really like put this to bed for this man because
Yeah.
he was blowing like his entire life on this woman. I think production, because like clearly she was not invested.
No.
No, I can't
Remember,
make
do
it.
you remember
I
he?
can't come.
I
Do you
was shocked when she was on it. That's why I was like, production paid for this
Yeah.
because there's no way.
I would think so.
He found out like somehow where she lived in her village or something like that. So he's like stalking her in the middle of this village in the middle of nowhere, like walking around with a picture of her, trying to find
Do
her.
you know
It
her?
was the saddest thing to watch. And at the same time, like you said, I agree with you, Penelope, that production must have found this girl because
Yeah.
as a therapist, you know how like people will give signs if you're interested in someone? This girl had given like every sign that she was disinterested in him, and it never stopped him.
And there was
No.
also the male nail tech who also met another Russian, and he was
Oh
dating
yeah,
her for
that
6
guy.
years.
That guy was very disappointed as well.
I
He was
know.
and never showed up because I'm gonna meet in Puerto Rico, and again bought the plane tickets, but she used that money not for the plane tickets, and now she can't come. And I mean, all of it, Scotty.
I've seen episodes of like Dr. Phil where someone fell for someone in a foreign country. So they've basically made a show out of this, it sounds like.
Yeah, they sure did.
Oh
They
Yeah.
yeah.
sure
You
did.
know, in real life though, I knew a guy who had met someone from the Philippines who was way out of his league. Like she was just gorgeous and he was, frumpy kind of guy or
I
whatever.
think
And
I
I
know who
always
this person is.
No, you don't. I was always looking at the guy and just thinking, and then her mom moved and it just started to become this obvious thing that she was just trying to get into the country. And this relationship, there was no passion. You could just tell it was so this happens in real life. It's not just for reality TV.
He should
Mhm.
have applied to be on the show.
I,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
know.
well,
At
Oh,
least would have had a shot at
I mean,
something.
do you
he
remember
was not interesting.
I mean, do you remember that one woman we saw that she had like those three boys in the Midwest? there was like this woman, she had three boys in the Midwest and they were all crazy. And she meets this guy on a cruise ship or something like that in Colombia. And so the guy comes to stay with her because he's like obviously getting into America and everything. But it's like, it's so obvious, like what Scotty's saying, that yes, people want green cards and yes, they're coming over and it's quite
At what
obvious.
price?
And yet it's kind of interesting to see the scenarios a person is willing to tolerate to become an American or to get here. You know, like that they like what would it take for somebody like you said, an unattractive person, or maybe it's just there's like why what makes these people so desperate to want to leave the countries they're in to come here that they would do this? And well, I guess that's just how great America is, apparently.
Well, it's easier than crossing from the south.
True.
But okay, Penelope, what other, okay, we need a list of shows that we are not aware of that you think that we also need, in our lives. Because of you, I am now obsessed with 90 Day. I am obsessed with Love Island. What else do you got on deck before you produce one? Because I think you're gonna.
Is it bad if they're not reality? Because
Yeah.
I'm on the other end of things. I'm really into Mobland. I just finished
Okay.
Mobland with Tom Hardy and Pierce
I
Brosnan.
have
And
that saved. I've got that saved.
holy shit, is it the
Spoiler.
best thing I've seen in a long time?
Okay.
Loved Landman. If you were talking about Taylor Sheridan shows before, Scotty. So if you
Mhm.
I'm sure you've seen Landman, but if you
I
didn't,
no, I have it on my to-do list because I need to be in the right frame to start a new show.
I'm trying to impress you so you don't think that I only watch bad reality shows. So, Landman, definitely a good one. And you know what? I'm going to throw in a lighthearted one. I really like that new, I think it's called Shtick or Stick,
Oh,
the Owen
Stick. Owen
Wilson.
Wilson.
It
I
is
love
great.
it.
It
I
is
love it.
great. It's for everybody. It's got something for everybody. It's not like shoving anything down anyone's throats other than comedy. I'm all about it. It's literally just pure joy in a show. It's like Ted Lasso before it got depressing. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Owen
Yeah.
is great and he looks the same. So I guess those are my new recs right now.
So
Okay.
Penelope, if you had to narrow it down to say three services that you would pay for, Netflix,
Oh, I thought you were
Amazon,
going to be like
Hulu.
prostitution. No, okay.
I love Penelope.
Sorry.
I love her.
That's
She needs
why
her own show.
that's why I gave examples. Uh, which three are the essentials for if you're going to
Paramount
watch
Plus, Paramount Plus for
Paramount
sure.
Plus? Okay.
Um, I guess Netflix, and probably Hulu because they picked up my movie.
Okay, let's talk about your movie.
Yes,
Oh, my last film was called One Night in San Diego. It's a few years old now. It was a COVID classic.
it was.
Literally. Um, but I wrote a couple new movies, so we're hoping to shoot one at the end of the year, and I'm opening my new gym, my
I
fitness
know you
center.
are. This gym is going to be incredible. Let's just talk about this gym because I'm telling you something with the reality, with the producing and doing shows. I haven't seen a gym show that's a love reality show that takes place in a gym. And I
Honestly,
mean,
we
all
really
these
should be making a reality show in the gym. You are not wrong. But it's a booty gym. So it's half Stairmaster, half strength training. But it's focused on hypertrophy. So it's all about the glutes, babe. And